A top official in the US is confident a Gaza ceasefire deal will be in place before Donald Trump takes office as president. Discussions have been ongoing between Qatari mediators and a senior Israeli delegation for several days in Doha. Details are now emerging, with Israeli media reporting that a prisoner exchange deal will be implemented in 3 stages. US President Joe Biden is due to make a foreign policy speech in around an hour's time, but his national security advisor says a deal is close.
Hello, and welcome to the Tungsten Wire. I'm so glad that you could join us today for some what could be perceived as heartening news. After 466 days of genocide, we are close to a ceasefire deal between Gaza and Israel. Now, speaking to Al Jazeera, Eylon Lield, who is the former Director General of the Israeli Foreign Ministry, says it looks like it's a done deal. The Israeli media within Israel is reporting that it is a done deal. And the reason we're finally getting a ceasefire is because they feel like they have no choice because of mounting international pressure and one other key factor, and that is the arrival of Trump to the negotiations table. He also mentioned that he doesn't believe that internal pressure within Israel has had any effect on getting this deal done. Yeah, and it's all down to Trump coming to the negotiations table, as we'll see right now. So how Haaretz has reported it is that last Friday evening, Stephen Witkoff, who is the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, called from Qatar to tell Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's aides that he would be coming to Israel the following afternoon. Now here's what's funny. The aides politely explained that it was the middle of the Sabbath, but the Prime Minister would gladly meet him Saturday night. And what do you think Witkoff said to this? He said, "I don't care." Witkoff's blunt reaction took them by surprise. He explained to them in salty English that Shabbat was of no interest to him. His message was loud and clear. Thus, in an unusual departure from official practice, the Prime Minister showed up to his office for an official meeting with Witkoff, who then returned to Qatar to seal the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a ceasefire because of Trump. Believe it or not. It's crazy. It's crazy. The National Post is saying that Hamas is expected to release 33 hostages in the first phase of the ceasefire deal with Israel. And in exchange, 50 Palestinian prisoners will be released. Another thing to think about, and it's important that we speak about this, is that the Gaza ceasefire is based on a plan from May 27, 2024. And it was agreed upon and endorsed unanimously by the UN Security Council 8 months ago. 8 months ago, this deal was on the table. But Joe Biden decided not to have the backbone to pick up the phone and force the deal, which he could have. Instead, he just gave them another $8 billion. Instead, in that time, he gave them billions of dollars and helped arm them to continue the genocide for another 8 months, despite that deal being on the table 8 months ago. This is a colossal failure of his presidency. And it looks even worse because Trump comes to the table and the same deal gets pushed through. Because his envoy, Witkoff, comes in and says, "I don't care about Shabbat. I don't care. We're going to get this deal done." And so, personally, I do believe that Trump is not going to be good for the Palestinians. I don't believe he's going to be good for Arabs, for Muslim Americans. But Muslims for Trump doesn't seem so crazy anymore. if you think about how Biden has treated them compared to how Trump has delivered. And look, I have no qualms, not qualms. I have no doubt in my mind that Netanyahu knows that if he were to re-escalate this aggression against the Palestinians, Trump would support it. He knows that. He knows that this is a more favorable government for him to commit genocide. The only thing we need to remember, though, is that it's all about optics. Trump is getting this push through to make Biden look bad and make himself look good. And again, Trump's not the good guy, but Biden looks horrible because this deal could have been agreed upon in May, and he decided not to. He decided to arm the genocide for another 8 months. Right now, the death count is 50,000 dead. That's the official number. But we know, because of precedents, that Hamas, for various reasons, always undercounts their numbers during a conflict. Why? And not just Hamas, because Hamas wasn't around 40 years ago. It's whatever health ministry is in place in Gaza. There are a couple reasons why this happens. One, all the record keepers are being killed. And what little record keepers are left to document the dead, they can't, because parts are coming. Parts of human bodies are coming. And you can't identify bodies by a limb that's severed from a body, or a body that's so charred you cannot identify who it is. And on top of that, the amount of people who are missing under the rubble. They're assumed dead, but they can't report that they're dead because they don't know. They're just missing. But we all know they're probably dead. It's horrible that we're talking about humans like this. And the Lancet has come out with 2 studies. One saying that the number is probably closer to 186,000 dead. Not the 50,000, but the 186,000 dead. And at the very least, the number will be at least 40% higher than whatever the official number is at the moment. When in May 27, 2024, I believe the death toll was around 30,000. Right now it's at 50,000. It's an undercount, but that's 20,000 people that have been killed since then. And that's not including the people who die from disease, the people who die from hunger, starvation, who are missing. There are reports that weapons are being used that are so powerful that people are just they vanish. There's no trace left of them. That's how violent the bombs are. I mean, imagine a 2-ton bomb dropping on you. How are you going to... Your body's going to be nothing. This has been a colossal failure of Trump. It's good news that we have a ceasefire coming. It's bad news that it could have happened 8 months ago. Had this happened 8 months ago, we probably don't have a Donald Trump coming into power, because we know how close the margins were. And I'm not saying third-party voters pushed the margins, because they didn't. I'm not saying Muslims voting for Trump are the reason he won, because it wasn't a big majority. I'll tell you what I believe it was. It was the people who stayed home because they couldn't stomach voting for any of them. I know so many Muslims within the Michigan community that just chose not to vote. They chose not to vote because one side has killed their family, Biden. The other side is trying to ban their family from entering, Trump. And Joe Biden is a Putin-loving Assadist. And most Arabs can't and won't stand for that. It is good news, but it's good news that came too late. 466 days into a genocide. But maybe now we'll be able to see the actual devastation that has been wrought upon the Palestinians by a genocidal government. I just think about what Jabotinsky said when he first... Jabotinsky is one of the early Zionist thought leaders who formed the group that is now the modern-day center of the Likud coalition. He said that there is no way that a Palestinian would accept any deal the Zionists trying to establish the state of Israel would offer. So what we need to do, this is Jabotinsky saying, we need to pummel them. We need to keep pummeling them and keep beating them and keep beating them up and keep beating them up until they realize that Zionism cannot be defeated and it's not going anywhere. And then they will come to the table to negotiate a deal. That was Jabotinsky's vision. And Netanyahu has completely went the opposite side and said, I'm going to eradicate the Palestinians. And so Joe Biden needs to be in The Hague. Netanyahu needs to be in The Hague. All of them need to be in The Hague for what they have allowed. And don't get it twisted. The ceasefire is going to come through, hopefully. But that doesn't mean Palestinians are safe. They're still going to be living under apartheid. They're still going to be living under occupation. The people, the settlements are still going to be expanding in the West Bank. And Trump has already pretty much said that he's going to let them annex the West Bank completely. So what's happening now is going to be worse for the Palestinians, I believe. I'm not talking about the ceasefire. I'm talking about the Donald Trump presidency. But I mean, only time will tell. And hopefully this ceasefire is a messenger of more good things to come. And I am cautiously optimistic that this ceasefire will go through, just so that the people of Gaza can have some relief. Just so that they don't have to walk out of their tents hearing drones in the sky every day. Having to fight for scraps because there's no food coming in. And what food is coming in, the IDF is working with Palestinian gangs, criminal Palestinian gangs, might I add, to grab the food and the aid. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's a huge failure of Biden. And not only that, I think this is going to cement his legacy as a horrible president, especially in foreign policy, especially all the good he did domestically is going to be forgotten about because of this, because of an enabling a genocide. And then it ended up being the fact that he had the ceasefire that's agreed upon that ended it 8 months ago. 8 months ago, he had the same deal. He could have stopped it and he didn't. And then his replacement, Donald Trump, ends up coming in and getting the deal done. And not even getting the deal done, pushing through the deal that was already there. Anyways, that's about all I have for today. As you can see, I'm not great at this whole video thing yet. I'm hoping I can get better. If you see this video, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Give it a like. Subscribe if you want, if you can. And I'll see you in the next one. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.